Hey, listen to me. Your greatest joy and your greatest pain in life is going to come from the same place. People. My question to you is, what are you going to do about the pain part? I don't think we have issues or challenges dealing with the joy part. I think where we struggle is the pain part. And in this video, I'm going to tell you what to do about people pain. Let's go. You know, pain is an inevitable aspect of all of our lives, no matter how wide. Now, wisdom reduces some of the pain we experience, but it doesn't matter how wise we are. We can't avoid pain. Pain is a consequence of living in an imperfect world. Pain is a consequence of us making imperfect decisions. And pain is a consequence of us being impacted by imperfect people. And the question is, when you deal with people pain, what do you do about it? And I think when something like this is inevitable, we shouldn't be uninformed when it comes to what to do about it, because how we process the pain impacts whether or not we'll push forward or move backwards. And one of the things I want to do, first of all, is make sure we're clear on the types of people pain. So 5 types of people pain I want to share with you. One, there's people pain that comes from unappreciation. Have you ever felt that? There will be situations and seasons where individuals don't express proper appreciation for the contribution that you've made to your life, to their life. Some won't even properly value that contribution. This is one of the things I often share with parents. Like, as a parent, when you're a parent, you must be willing to play the long game. That means that you must be willing to make investments and make contributions to your children when they're in a season of life where they don't even recognize how valuable that contribution is. I often say stuff like this, that the older I get, the greater appreciation I have for my father. Like, the more I become a man, the more I see how blessed I was to have a man like him in my life. And so there's some people pain that can come from unappreciation. You can be in a relationship with someone, a romantic relationship, and they don't understand, they don't recognize the rarity of what they possess in a relationship with you. I don't think that's narcissistic. That's not egotistical. I think to steward anything properly, you got to be able to recognize distinction. So, and I don't think that's just common sense to me. It's common sense. So if I'm gonna steward something well, I got to be able to recognize this is not easily replaceable, or this is expensive to replace, or this is irreplaceable. And I'm not saying one person is better than another. And I'm not saying different people are different in their value in the eyes of God. But just because all of us are equally valuable in the eyes of God doesn't mean everybody adds equal value to you. And there are some times when you're adding unique value to people and they don't see it, or they don't value the contribution that you're making. So you've got unappreciation. Then you've got amnesia. That's a different kind of people pain. That's when you were making a contribution to people, you were adding value to a person, either adding value through who you were or what you were doing, or both. And they recognized and seemingly appreciated and honored that for a season. Then you got to another season in life where they forgot. It is painful. That's kind of what Joseph dealt with a little bit in prison when he was interpreting some of his prison mates' dreams in prison. And one ended up getting out. And instead of initially remembering the contribution that Joseph had made to him in prison, he forgot. And I'm sure Joseph was hurt, discouraged, disappointed. Because sometimes people get amnesia. Then there's a third type, and that is entitlement. This is where people aren't necessarily unappreciative of your contribution. They just feel entitled to it. They just feel like you should do it for me. You have to do it for me. And you owe this to me. And when you get a revelation of someone's entitlement, that can be a source of pain for you, because people sometimes don't realize and recognize that you don't have to do what you did. Listen, when you get better spiritually, everything get better. Spiritual life is not the only important part of your life. It is the most important part of your life because it affects every other part that's important. But you don't get stronger spiritually accidentally. It takes intentionality. You need to get fed, and you got to learn how to understand, how to interpret, how to apply, and how to explain the Bible. The Bible's the blueprint to your best life. And I'm going to tell you, Sunday's not enough to give you the tools that you need to get better with the Bible. I want you to join me in my community called Bible U, where I help you take your understanding, your application, and your explanation of the Bible to another level. Here's the fourth type of people pain, and that is betrayal. This is when someone's ethical deficiencies or emotional immaturity causes them to behave in ways that cause relational or emotional or financial harm to you. It's when your trust is broken. It's when they are not reciprocating the kind of positive and transformational value that you add to their life. And here's the thing about betrayal. Your goodness never makes you immune to betrayal. Jesus was perfect and still got betrayed. Perfect meaning he managed every relationship perfectly. I want you to think about that. He managed as a perfect man, he managed every relationship perfectly. He always said what should be said. He always said it when it needed to be said. He always said it how it needed to be said. He always gave what needed to be given. He always gave it when it needed to be given. He always gave it how it was supposed to be given. He did all of that and still got betrayed by Judas. So if that happened with Jesus, who was a perfect man, it's illogical, borderline naive for us to think it won't happen to us. And we're imperfect. But it's painful. It's gut-wrenching. It's heartbreaking. And then the final kind of pain, at least that I want to talk about today when it comes to people pain, is disappointment. This is when you don't see a return of your investment that you've made in people. It's when you have a desire to see people develop into all that they could be. And they, whether consciously or unconsciously, intentionally or unintentionally, make a decision to fall short. Or it's when you're operating with some expectations that you have of people. And maybe those expectations are reasonable. I'm not talking about unreasonable expectations, reasonable expectations, like what the Bible would call reasonable service. And those people don't meet those expectations. And those failed expectations create disappointment. See, you may not be dealing with one type of people pain now, but if as you matriculate and migrate throughout life, you're going to go through different seasons where you're going to get different pain. You're going to deal with different types of pain from different people, or maybe different types of pain from some of the same people. The question is, what are you going to do about it? And here's an axiom I want to throw out to you. If you fail to plan, you plan to fail. Darius, what does planning have to do about pain? Everything. You need a pain plan. Darius, what's that? That is you making a decision regarding how you're going to handle pain before you're in it. That's you making a decision regarding what you're going to do in your time of weakness when you're strong. See, you have to make decisions that protect yourself from yourself. And you got to make those decisions in your time of strength so that you protect yourself from yourself in your time of weaknesses. Because when you're in pain, that's not often the time you're optimal mentally. right? You're not making the best decisions. You're reacting. And maybe, I hope I'm making sense here. Like when people in pain, they disclose things to people they probably wouldn't disclose to when they're in pain. People are open to things that they wouldn't normally be open to. When they're in pain, people are subject to things that they wouldn't normally be subject to when they are in pain. But if you make decisions in your time of strength, then you protect yourself from yourself in your time of weaknesses. So it's not if you get hurt, but when you get hurt, what are you going to do about it? So here are a few things that I think should be included in your pain plan. And these are really questions that you need to ask and answer yourself. And the first one is this: okay, when it happens, what am I not going to do? So you got to make that decision. Okay, when I get hurt, what am I not going to do? Because we may be tempted to do a number of different things, but we need to make a decision regarding what we're not going to do when we get hurt. I'm not going to do anything that's self-destructive. I'm not going to do anything that jeopardizes my witness. I'm not going to do anything that hurts me in an attempt to hurt them. So what am I not going to do? 2, what am I going to do? Meaning, what am I going to do to help alleviate this pain? Right? Who am I going to run to? I'm going to run to the scriptures. I'm going to run to God. I'm going to run to trusted friends. I'm going to run to therapy. What am I going to do so that I'm not wondering what to do and trying to figure out what to do in the midst of pain? And here's the third component. What am I going to say? Like, what is the story that I'm going to tell myself? Because how you frame it determines how you fight it, and how you fight it determines if you actually fix it. So this is where reframing becomes important. And I love this because this is really what confessions, like biblical confession, is all about. It's not just a reframe, but when you're confessing, you're reframing. You're looking at your situation and you are making a decision to put another frame around it. And you're framing it around the word and the goodness of God. So a reframe is based on Romans 8:28, all things work together for good. A reframe is, this happened for me. This didn't just happen to me. It happened for me, right? Because what you say to yourself is how you frame it. How you frame it determines how you fight it. And how you fight it determines how you fix it. I say this sitting from the seat, not just of a pastor, but of a coach, a person who in ministry and in marketplace is dedicated to throwing his life into serving God by serving people. And this is what I've seen. People's reaction to pain does way more damage in their life than pain itself. This is why we need a pain plan, especially when we're dealing with pain from people. I hope this helped you develop yours. Take care. God bless.